Cool. So, my name's Anthony. I just wanted to make a cool little HVAC troubleshooting guide video. A little bit about me. I've been doing HVAC for over 10 years, since 2008. It's like 2022. Don't really want to admit to myself I've been doing it that long, but I've always made these cool little models at home, as you can see here. And so let's get into it. I feel like I got some cool little troubleshooting tips, and I feel like I have a good understanding of special relativity and understand the relationship between electricity and magnetism, and it really helps me troubleshoot any type of HVAC equipment, any type of stationary equipment with motor windings. If you have a good understanding of special relativity, then you got it. Cool. So I just want to go through like a basic troubleshooting formula that I have, and kind of like my understanding of windings and how they're magnetized. Kind of just like an oversimplified view would be, magnets, you're just, I understand the difference between AC and DC, but essentially all you're doing to the winding is just magnetizing it with the, kind of like the north and south poles, but it's positive and negatives, whatever. But, so I always check, because I have a good understanding of this, it makes it easy for me to check power at a coil or a winding, because I understand how it's being energized. So typically, like what I see a lot of people doing, let's say, okay, this is our compressor, let's turn it off. Okay, compressor's not running. What's your process of elimination? Well, you always start at the controller and make sure that the controller is calling for cool. And then, typically you'd come to the coil and check power at the coil, which I have 26 volts. I see a lot of people doing this. They go to the coil and they'll check power to ground, right? And then if you have your common wire to your ground, essentially when you check power to ground, you're going to see 24 volts on each side of the coil. So that can be kind of confusing when you're troubleshooting. So you always want to check power at the winding. You want to check the power that's being supplied. You have the positive and negative. You have the black wire and the white wire. You just check between the two. Oh, look, I have power to the motor and it's not working. So obviously the motor's bad. Obviously troubleshooting the capacitor. And then cool, our call for cool shut off. Let's make sure that the fan is still calling. Yep, it still has 24 volts. So what helped me in the industry was just properly troubleshooting the windings and then having a good understanding of how they're energized. One of the most difficult troubleshooting scenarios that I see is when this 24 volt fuse pops. And a lot of times in commercial air conditioning, you have like CO2 sensors going downstairs and fire system integrated into that. But my process of elimination for always troubleshooting this fuse when it pops on the transformer is I always just unplug the R from each coil. So I'll start out, if I can't figure it out and it's not obvious and it's not an obvious short, then I remove the R from the coil, and then I'll remove the R from this coil, and I would turn it back on and see if this trips. Typically it doesn't. Or yeah. And then, checking power to a winding, I've never seen the point of going like this and then to ground. Dude, it's not how you do that. What I've always done is if you need like this relay is only breaking one leg to the fan, so I would check here to common and then check both legs for power. And you can see power's waiting there at the relay, waiting to go through between common. I never check from ground to the coil, or to the winding. Oops. Cool. And also, you know, this is obviously just a single phase circuit, but you know, 3-phase, essentially you're just adding another wire, you're just adding another magnet, and then at a 3-phase winding, this same energy is happening right here. And then so like 120 is a positive and a negative, right? And then 208 single phase is hot ground, right? So essentially all you're doing is just flipping the magnet over, and then you're using the positive. It makes sense to me. And you're using repulsive energy instead of inductive energy, right? And then 3-phase is just adding another magnet. And then you know how you swap 2 of the legs and it reverses the polarity, right? So you just swap 2 of these around, yeah. And now the magnets are pushing. Yeah. Pretty simple. If you look at it like this, it's impossible to troubleshoot this stuff incorrectly.